Hey, welcome, welcome. Hello, hello, everybody. Happy, was it Wednesday? It is Wednesday. Hope everybody is off to a good day. Oh, I'm not worried about the mirror. Reading the name backwards is got to be part of the fun. Republic of Chad, what up, my friend? Been on MK67 for a week. It's nice for bulking. Be careful with the MK677. I'm not a big fan of MK. A lot of fluid retention, edema. It's not a peptide, so more side effect, more risk. Weird stuff with the heart on some people, and even some exacerbations with insulin resistance. So yeah, honestly, it just doesn't make sense to me to even mess around with MK677 when you have other safe growth hormone peptides to choose from. Hey Pablo, what do I think about KPV? KPV is very powerful at down regulating, turning off a lot of these, the literal transcription process of creating these inflammatory cytokines, these inflammatory chemicals. KPV works on a DNA level to turn those signals, the signal production down. So as a consequence, you get decreased production of inflammatory cytokines. Very powerful. Big fan. Stacks really well with BPC. Hey, Jackie, thank you so much. I'm glad that that information has been helpful for you. Have I ever tried doing farmer's walks on my treadmill? No, I haven't actually. Normally, if I'm on this treadmill, I'm working, so that would be that'd be hard. But that sounds like a really good workout, carrying some dumbbells. What are my thoughts on MOTS-C with AOD? MOTS-C is pretty dope, actually. I'm a big fan of MOTS-C. With AOD? It works on the AMPK pathways in the background. So the AMPK pathway is a pathway that gets turned on when you're in a calorie deficit. So when you're in a calorie deficit, your body goes, it needs to do a lot of different things to prepare for the stress of being in a calorie deficit. Also exercise, fasting, regular calorie deficits, all of this is going to trigger the AMPK pathway. So peptides, these exercise mimetic peptides, can activate that. Essentially, you burn more calories, you lose more weight. Justin, I'm on 1 milligram at my goal weight after losing 40 pounds since September. That's awesome, Justin. What is your recommendation? So my ultimate goal for patients is to eventually achieve the ability to maintain your weight loss on a microdose. Like, that's my goal. Maintain weight loss on a microdose. But unfortunately, the only way that you can do that is by effectively doing the weight loss protocol itself the correct way. That's the way that we can do it. And so what do I mean by that? Well, this is kind of what turns on a deeper conversation that I'd love to get into today and answer as many questions as I possibly can today. So welcome guys. My name is Dr. Jones. I have clinics that service across the nation, all 50 states, and I work with my medical practitioners. Specifically, we prescribe all the GLP-1 peptides, semaglutide, tirzepatide, retatrutide. We do powerful hormone therapies for men, TRT for women. Any ladies right now watching this that are struggling with menopause, perimenopausal symptoms, let me know in the comments. This is like a very common thing. Obviously, it happens to every woman eventually, and it makes weight loss and fat loss extremely challenging. So how do you navigate through menopause? What if you don't have menopause, but you have inflammatory conditions like PCOS, autoimmune conditions? There's many different things that will disrupt and impact negatively your metabolic health. And because of this, your ability to improve health drop, which really comes down to decreasing visceral fat, increasing muscle mass. So we have a ton of success in helping people navigate through these health issues by implementing strategic lifestyle interventions that get to the root cause. And so that's what we're here to talk about today, everybody. Do me a big favor. Let's start with a little introduction. Let me know your name, where are you watching from, and what does your current journey look like? And while you guys are doing that, do me a big favor, smash that like button, share this out with anybody that you think would benefit. If you're watching me on TikTok and you haven't already followed me on YouTube, if you don't follow me on YouTube, go to YouTube right now, type in Dr. Jones DC, give us a follow, turn on your bell, because we do put out a ton of very informative videos, about 4 videos a week, breaking down exactly the peptides, the GLP-1 meds, and proper lifestyle interventions. And if you guys want to work with me, if you want to work with my staff, let me show you guys how easy it is to do that. You guys should see this little button here that I just pinned. You should be able to click that button. It looks like moderator unpinned it. There you go. Yep. You can shoot us a message and get yourself scheduled for a free consultation. Costco pizza. What a world that we live in, because I'm a chiropractor. We live in a pretty crazy world, don't we, Costco pizza? I mean, it's so wild, right? Let me tell you something about this wild world that we live in. You would think medical doctors would be giving this kind of information. You think people would live in a world where they can get this information from their medical doctors, but they don't. They can't. Medical doctors don't provide this information. So you're right. This is a crazy world. People listen to me because they don't get this information from the sources that they should be getting it from. So you're right. It's such a crazy world. Oh man. But you know, I just kind of do me every single day. I try to help people because I just have created something very powerful, and thousands of people have seen success because of the information that they're provided, which I'll tell you counters the status quo, and people don't get this information from where they should be getting it from. So but anyways, I digress. What kind of questions do you guys have, my friends? Costco Pizza wants me to stop helping you guys. What do you think? Does C-Link help with anxiety? Some people do notice improvement in anxiety from the use of C-Link. Although, when I talk to a patient that has anxiety, I look at inflammation, I look at testosterone and thyroid function. And nutritional status. A lot of times these patients aren't getting enough DHA fatty acid in their diet. Thank you. When taking Retta, having a tingling sensation. So retatrutide, if you look at the trials, there's a lot of people that actually reported these tingling type side effect. It was actually a lot. So allodynia is the medical term for issues with sensitivity that's driven by the GLP-1s, but retatrutide actually has a lot more. My doctor wanted me on all kind of medicine and metabolic syndrome. Turns out I was hypogonadal. Well, when you're hypogonadal and you have low testosterone, that can drive insulin resistance, but also insulin resistance can drive low testosterone. So I don't think necessarily for sure we can say, maybe in your case, if the testosterone was really, really bad and you're younger and maybe you're not obese or very overweight, then yeah, we could probably pinpoint the testosterone deficiency being the primary driver. Gen X, ask your question away. I'm here for you guys. Do you know if Retta is causing depression like the others? I haven't seen anything that would give us an idea that retatrutide wouldn't do the same thing to mental health. And what GLP-1s do to mental health that we know is generally they improve. Generally they improve mental health. And when you improve metabolic health, you have downstream improvements in multiple areas. Yeah, I would agree, Gen X. You fix insulin resistance, and you're going to fix most problems. I couldn't agree more. Can you share your speed and incline that you posted about? Check out his program. I love it. Hey, welcome, welcome. Honestly, when it comes to cardiovascular workouts, if you are trying to increase your fat loss, cardio is actually the last thing. Cardio is like the last box to check. You got to make sure all your other boxes are checked: your nutrition, your sleep, your weight training, getting some fasting. But then if you want to kind of move the needle a little bit more, any incline in speed that can get your heart rate into that fat burning zone where it's not too intense, you can carry an easy conversation out. That's going to enhance fat loss. Oh yeah, Chad, 110, that's really bad. Yeah, that's pretty wild. Pick up the pace. We got a game to win. What game are we talking about here? What do you guys think? Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? The Seahawks or the Patriots? I'm a Niners fan. I don't want to see the Seahawks win, but I kind of think the Seahawks are going to win. But we'll see. We shall see. The benefits of the carnivore diet. Yes, let's talk about the carnivore diet. I think the carnivore diet is severely underutilized and underappreciated. Look, I'm not going to tell you that I think the carnivore diet is the proper human diet. To quote Dr. Ken Berry, phenomenal doctor. I love him. I think he's great. when I look at the carnivore diet, I'm looking at a short-term nutritional strategy to massively reduce inflammation, massively reduce insulin levels, and drive the initial change that needs to happen. Because remember, when we start this journey, there's a threshold that you need to cross as far as improvement to your metabolic health is concerned before we can really start getting into some good fat loss, some good fat loss. And so this is why I'm very, very much a big fan of doing it correctly. And I think anybody who's been overweight would benefit tremendously from a short-term carnivore diet, clean things up. And I'll tell you what I've noticed is patients who do keto or diet or carnivore diet, they end up needing a much lower dose of their GLP-1 medications. How many of you guys want to achieve success on a lower dose rather than a higher dose? Let me know in the comments. Hello, Sanyo Nora. So I'll tell you, J1, what is interesting about the carnivore diet is there's actually more nutrition that's more bioavailable in meat. The nutrition that's inside of fatty red meat is more bioavailable than the nutrition inside of plants. The nutrition inside of plants is not as bioavailable as meat. Your body has to work significantly more in order to extract the nutrients from plants. Not to mention, it's dealing with the toxic burden of all the defense chemicals that plants produce. Now, I'm not saying all plants are bad forever. There's a ton of there's a ton of healthy components and compounds that we get from plants, but at the same time, we get a lot of potentially harmful compounds to certain individuals with sensitivities to those particular defense chemicals. With the improved insulin signaling, wouldn't you want carbs? Yeah, Ethan, great question. And the answer, in my very confident opinion, is no. You have improved insulin signaling. So the fact that you have improved insulin signaling means your body can tolerate carbohydrates. That doesn't mean that you need to give it carbohydrates. In fact, if the goal is to drop visceral fat, the best way to do that is to lower insulin levels. So you lower insulin levels as much as you possibly can. GLP-1s allow you to tolerate carbohydrates better, but they don't inherently make you need carbohydrates. So you still have the same benefit of being on a low-carb diet. And just think of GLP-1s as a way to further increase. So you have your keto fasting protocol, you have your GLP-1 protocol, and the combination of both are working strategically to help you achieve a better physique, to help you achieve better levels of health. I've been on Reddit for 10 weeks, healthy diet, started creatine. It is normal to gain a couple pounds immediately when you start creatine. That it's a short-term couple pounds and that's it. You hit a saturation level and you're not going to keep gaining weight from creatine, at least. What are my thoughts on the minimal effective dose? Hey, what's up, Ryan? The minimal effective dose is something that applies to all GLP-1 dosing. I don't care whether you're on semaglutide, tirzepatide, retatrutide, doesn't matter whatever tide you're on, cowgrillintide, all these new ones coming out. The lowest effective dose, the minimal effective dose, is you're trying to handle food chatter, because food chatter is the reason why you are constantly in a caloric surplus and why you're overweight, driven by hormones in the background. So we want to reduce food chatter, but we don't want to suppress our appetite so much that we're never hungry we're a little nauseous every time we eat. We take a couple bites and we're full. We literally can't eat enough food. We can't eat enough protein. We don't get enough calories. That's an over dosing scenario. That's too much GLP-1 medication. So we want the sweet spot in the middle. Hey, Ryan, just onboarded. Heck yeah, my man. Super stoked. I'm sure you're probably scheduled to meet me soon on that first call. Make sure you watch those videos, and then we're going to kick some ass, my friend. Welcome, welcome, and thank you. So let me tell you about the sweet spot. The sweet spot of GLP-1 dosing. Check it out. You still get hungry. You still get cravings. You look at a delicious piece of birthday cake or cheesecake, you look at that, or donuts, because your coworker can eat all the donuts she wants, and you know Sally doesn't gain any weight. Sally's always been skinny her entire life. So Sally brings in donuts to work. You're really annoyed that she does that. Either way, you look at those donuts and you're saying, nah, I'm good. Today's Wednesday. I'm gonna have some carbohydrates on the weekend, on Saturday. I got this dinner I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. So I can still say no. But the ability to say no to Sally's sweet, sweet donuts is because you had to implement some self-control. You had to implement some discipline. But you were able to do it because you are on a GLP-1 medication that reduces the friction. It reduces the barrier because it's helping you handle food chatter. Hey, what's up, John? But you don't want so much suppression that you never think about food. That those donuts, you look at those donuts and you're like, ugh, I don't want those donuts. How many of you guys are dosed so high on your GLP-1 medication that when food gets presented to you, like good, I'm talking ultra processed, delicious food, whether that's pizza, nachos, donuts, ice cream, I don't care what it is. And be honest with me, how many of you guys are on a dose that's so high that you look at that food and you're just like, either you're repulsed or you have zero desire? How many of you guys are in that spot? Because as helpful as it is to have zero desire for those delicious donuts and delicious Oreo cookies is one of my guilty pleasures. As amazing as it is to have zero cravings, you begin to weaken. Mentally, you lose discipline. Mentally, day by day, your ability to rely on yourself as the ability to say no to junk food most of the time begins to decrease because you're solely relying on the medication as the source of handling food chatter, food addiction, right? So you want it to be you plus medication. It is you plus medication that executes self-control so that you can eat reasonably good most of the time and just have a little bit of junk food here and there, right? So I just, because I don't know if you guys know, some of you guys know, some of you guys don't know, that I coach thousands of people on GLP-1 medications, very powerful peptide stacks, and I see this across the board constantly. And so what I'm telling you right now is really important, and I hope that it makes sense, that you take home that advice and you talk to your doctor, you talk to your provider about your dosing, because if you're in that zone that we talked about where nothing looks good and you never crave food and you're never hungry, that's going to bite you in the ass later. Not only because you weaken mentally, like we just talked about, but you start undereating overall. And when you undereat over an extended period of time, your metabolism crashes. You trigger starvation mode, aka zombie mode. And I know a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. Here are the symptoms of starvation mode. Besides weight loss plateau or weight loss slowing down, you have tiredness, brain fog, constipation, feeling cold, your body's achy, like you just feel like, you don't feel as good. How many of you guys are in that situation right now and nobody's explained to you that the reason why you're there is because you're barely eating 800, 1,000, 1,200 calories day after day, week after week. You're trying to get enough protein, maybe, but getting enough protein when you're barely eating is still a problem. All the protein doesn't matter if you're starving overall because you don't get enough calories. So protein requirements are different, but also essential next to calorie requirements. You have calorie requirements and you have protein requirements. Yeah, so when I see that, that you don't feel satisfied, it tells me that this is an overdosing situation. Guys, some of you guys are asking questions about what kind of peptides. So we do basically all the high quality 503A pharmacy provided peptides. So semaglutide, tirzepatide, retatrutide. We do the healing peptides. We call it the Wolverine stack, like BPC 157, TB 500. We have other beauty peptides like GHK copper. We do hormone therapy, BHRT, TRT for men and women, balancing them out. And quite a few more. It's quite a few more options. If you have autoimmune disease, you need to be on low dose naltrexone. I think low dose naltrexone it's like the dark horse. It is severely underutilized, the low dose naltrexone. I just started taking dihexa and my memory and learning speed has improved a lot. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Dihexa is quite possibly the most powerful brain peptide that there is. Pretty interesting literature. It's animal data. It's an early thing, but we're seeing in animals that it literally grew new neurons. And growing new neurons is something that is not possible. Naltrexone, low dose naltrexone, what I was talking about, is like microdosing GLP-1 medications. People with fatty liver disease, probably retatrutide. Hey, Scripto, if you think you could be walking on a treadmill right now, then you should get one of these bad boys. Couple $100 on Amazon. And whenever you have certain things, certain meetings, certain work that you can do, if you have I have a desk that I can lift and go back. So I try to switch between walking, standing, and sitting. So fatty liver disease, fasting helps a lot, by the way. Fasting is a big help for fatty liver disease. But retatrutide, I just posted a video actually 2 hours ago talking about retatrutide's amazing ability to target liver fat. So if you guys have a fatty liver, you need to watch my video that I just posted 2 hours ago talking about fatty liver disease and retatrutide's ability. But aside from retatrutide, fasting is going to help a lot. The best fasting windows. So we like some pretty strategic fasting windows. We do. Shut up about health advice. You are a bald man. I am bald. Glad to see that your eyes are working, my friend. I do wonder what being bald has to do with qualifying me to give healthcare advice. That's funny. I didn't know that the presence of hair makes an individual more qualified or not. I'll take that home with that. I'll take that one home. Once you've lost all the weight, how do you maintain weight loss? Wow. This is a fundamental problem, is being able to maintain weight loss. It's not just prevalent in the GLP-1 community. This is prevalent with all weight loss programs. I'm going to come back to this question because this one's crucial, but I'm just curious, because I got a lot of people watching this live. How many of you guys have lost and regained weight, say more than 20 pounds, more than 2 times in your life? Let me know in the comments, how many times have you lost and regained more than 20 pounds in your life? 3 times, 5 times, 8 times, more times than I can count. Let me know in the comments how often this back and forth is happening, because I'll go first. For an entire decade after I lost 100 pounds, because I lost 100 pounds when I was 16 years old, so a little over 20 years ago, I lost and I regained, and I lost and I regained over and over and over every single year, 50 plus pounds. So this is not a issue per se necessarily with you, your willpower. You're not necessarily mentally weak. You might be, I don't know. I'm not. There are mentally weak people out there for sure. But to inherently say that's completely everybody's fault is a bit unfair, because there is background driving factors that impact some individuals significantly more than they impact others. I think metabolic health is a big piece that drives that. I've been on Reddit for 8 months. Food noise and cravings are coming back like crazy. So there is something to be said about medication adaptation. I see it in patients all the time where they adapt to medications. So medication adaptation is a real thing. And this is part of why in the trials, they have to continually escalate the dose. Every 4 weeks, escalate the dose. Every 4 weeks, let's go up in the dose. Let's go, I'm ready, says the patient. Let's increase your dose, says the doctor. Meanwhile, very few people are having a conversation about whether they need to increase their dose. It's driven by excitement, I think, more so than anything else. First time to the live. Hey, BGG, my friend. Thank you. Started Mont C 4 months ago. Cycling 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Feel amazing. Glucose levels down from 103 to 95. You are making some progress. SS31 is a good peptide. It actually was approved for some medical conditions known as Barth syndrome, but essentially what it does is it attaches the cardiolipin and helps improve the membrane inside of the inner mitochondrial layers. And it's the lack of that membrane which leads in that particular genetic condition, Barth syndrome. But in individuals in general, what it's also doing is just enhancing overall ATP production. It's decreasing free radical production. Hey, Nancy. Thank you. I'm glad that you're finding this live very helpful. Guys, by the way, if you just joined us here real quick, I'm going to get back to the questions. I don't see anything about fatty liver. Yes, if you look at the most recent YouTube video, Mama Bear, it's the one we just posted today on YouTube about retatrutide. That one's all about fatty liver disease. So guys, if you just joined us here, welcome, welcome. My name is Dr. Jones. I have clinics that service all 50 states. I have a team of medical practitioners. I have a team of coaches, and we work together to help you kick ass, drop body fat, improve muscle mass, improve metabolic health by reducing insulin resistance, by reducing inflammation, all while achieving microdosing maintenance. I think the goal should be, and you guys tell me whether you agree or disagree, I think the goal for you should be to lose the weight and then decrease your dose to a microdose, a successful like regimen where you can maintain the weight loss on a microdose. What are the cardiovascular concerns with retatrutide? Not cardiovascular, because it'll help cardiovascular risk factors, but it also increases heart rate. So there's some concern, some understandable concern with people that have like arrhythmias, maybe an elevated heart rate, full-blown congestive heart failure, like situations like that. We do service all 50 states, guys. So if you want to reach out, if you want to work with me, if you want to work with my team, if you need the peptides, if you need the GLP-1s, if you need the coaching, if you need all of the above, let me tell you guys how to reach out to us. You can shoot us a DM if you're watching me on TikTok right now, or you can click the link in my bio. And if you're watching me on YouTube, all you got to do is just go to YouTube and click that link in the bio. If you want to find my YouTube page, just go to YouTube and type in Dr. Jones DC. This is the backwards version for you right here, Dr. Jones DC. What is considered a microdose? So to me, a microdose is anything lower than the starting dose. So like 2.5 milligrams of tirzepatide, 0.25 milligrams of semaglutide. Anything lower than that on a weekly basis, or if you're doing like every other week injections and it averages out to be less than the starter dose per week. How do you prevent gallbladder issues? Well, you have comprehensive labs before you start to look at your pancreas. Now, gallbladder, you can kind of tell based off the labs, but it's a good thorough history, right? If you've had recent gallstones or biliary disease, then you should be careful. You should absolutely be careful. I just had a thyroidectomy, couldn't wait to get back on the GLP-1s. It was a few weeks off. Why did you have your thyroid removed? Thoughts on cagrilintide? Cagrilintide is kind of bundled up with these GLP-1 medications. Strictly, it works on the appetite suppressing pathways, and it doesn't work on the metabolic pathways. Jones and team are the best. Flow Warrior, Sean Morley, if that's what that is. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate the kind words. And we definitely will continue to try our best to help you kick some ass. What do I think about GERD and this medicine? I think GERD was already a massive problem without the GLP-1s. And I think digestive issues can be made worse with a typical GLP-1 medication and little lifestyle improvement. We are very, very much a fan of adding digestive enzymes and a good probiotic with your GLP-1 medication as you start. And then looking at the diet, making some dietary changes. Gotcha. So it's papillary and it's not medullary. So that makes sense, Lauren. Sorry that you went through that, but yes, I think you're fine as far as getting back on the GLP-1. How do you know if you need to increase the tirzepatide dose? If we're not talking about diabetes, if you feel like you were getting good appetite suppression, appetite control, and then all of a sudden, despite implementing proper lifestyle interventions, you notice that the food chatter is coming back, the food noise starts returning, that's how you know. Unfortunately, we don't work with insurance. Mark, my friend, I'm sorry. Which is the one that you mentioned earlier for the brain. Yeah, let me give you 4 brain peptides in order of strength. So you have dihexa, and then you have synapsin, which, by the way, synapsin is good for like chronic traumas, like athletes, football players, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is like brain traumas. So the synapsin RG3 combo, and then you have more of your nootropics like dihexa and C-Link. Well, sorry, C-Link and C-Max. Do you think when my gallbladder came out, it could trigger metabolic syndrome? No, I don't think removal of your gallbladder inherently triggered metabolic syndrome. Unfortunately, having your gallbladder removed doesn't do much good for your long-term health. They obviously have reasons why they think you needed to remove it at that time, usually gallstones. What we do with patients who don't have a gallbladder is we recommend that if you are going to go on a keto diet, that you're very slow about increasing the ratio of overall fat intake. So if you increase your fat intake too quickly, you're not going to feel good. And then adding a good bile salt type digestive support product. We don't recommend PEG MGF peptide Harrison. It's not a peptide that's 503A, not a peptide that we recommend, I'm sorry. Can BPC 157 help with gastritis? It potentially can. It depends on the context and what's going on with the gastritis, of course, but in a general sense, BPC KPV would be one of the peptides that we would consider, yeah. GHK copper upregulates the collagen synthesis, so, hair, skin, and nails. But my gosh, it does so much more than that. It upregulates antioxidant production, decreases inflammation as a result. It even upregulates the genes, right? So you have changes in your genetic expression. At least some of the data appears to support that idea. You think going back to 7.5 is okay? I have no context at all. That's a hard question to answer. Back from what? From 10? What is an overview of the peptide? Yeah, so the peptides that we provide, guys, it's overall metabolic health and quality of life support. So all the GLP-1s, we do hormone therapy for men and women. We do anti-inflammatory peptides like BPC 157, KPV, LDN, low dose naltrexone, by the way. And we implement strategic lifestyle coaching to help you guys get the best out of this. Zinc couldn't hurt. You may or may not need to supplement with it. Big Joe, you're going to have to repeat your comment, my friend. What do you recommend for rheumatoid arthritis? So, big time, if you have autoimmune disease, so pay attention, guys. I'm going to break down the autoimmune inflammation protocol. So in addition to your GLP-1, you're going to talk to your provider about these options, but what we like is low dose naltrexone. So low dose naltrexone is kind of like microdosing GLP-1s. When you take the lower dose of naltrexone, the research shows that it's calming down the immune system, that overactive immune system that's targeting your tissue for destruction and autoimmune disease. And it's also down-regulating the inflammatory cascade. So all those different inflammatory cytokines and signaling agents, the production of those decreases. And then you have BPC KPV, which we actually prescribe that in a single product, 500 micrograms of each. It's very, very potent at also decreasing inflammation as well. Big Joe, I was on maintenance for the last 5 months. I'm down 80 pounds, but the food noise is back. Yeah, Big Joe, I'm sorry that they kept you on the medication dose, but that's unfortunately what happens when you stay on the maintenance doses. There's a lot of people who just lose the food chatter, and then the patient goes spiraling out of control and starts gaining weight. This would something that we would help you out with. Our team would do a full medication reset, metabolic reset, and then try our best to get you stable on a lower dose. Like, I'm a big fan of cycling these GLP-1s, when you're at your goal weight, when your health has improved. Can you go through the best peptides for muscle growth? Yeah, I actually posted recently on our YouTube page some really good videos for men and women, separate videos. If you're a woman trying to build muscle mass, if you're a man trying to get massive, there's a thumbnail on my YouTube page that says get massive, easy mode. But then for women too as well, there's a video for women to build muscle. Check those out. But basically when it comes to building muscle mass, you from the lifestyle category, you got to make sure that you're doing the proper type of hypertrophy training. So you got to be lifting weights correctly, muscle building. You got to get enough protein in. 1 gram per pound of target body weight is plenty. And then you got to make sure that you're getting enough calories overall. And then what does your testosterone levels look like? Because if your testosterone is suboptimal, if your testosterone is low, it doesn't matter what peptides. It's going to be challenging for your body to really put on some substantial amount of muscle. And then we can get into the growth hormone peptides. The growth hormone peptides, CJC-IPA, tesamorelin, samorelin, these are really good growth hormone. We call them growth hormone secretagogues because they stimulate the release of your own growth hormone, which helps protein synthesis, fat loss. So you can help maintain muscle mass during a diet, during a weight loss program, or you can help build muscle mass, which is vitally important. Anything that you can do for fibromyalgia? Yes, Ben. So fibromyalgia, I go back to what I said earlier, GLP-1, low dose naltrexone, BPC 157, KPV. Is weightlifting necessary for PCOS? Absolutely, Mango. PCOS women, menopausal women, weight training is crucial for everybody. I cannot stress that enough. PCOS women need to weight train even more so because you're so insulin resistant. The addition of extra muscle mass is going to help the metabolic profile start to shift because muscle mass by definition is a sponge for glucose. The more muscle mass you have on your body, the more stable you can get your blood sugar levels because you have a bigger reservoir, right? Your muscles are like, after your liver, your muscles are the other area that your body stores glucose. Can you take GLP-1s with blood clots? Yes, but like anything, they would need to have an individual conversation with the provider who can review their history and medications. Best underrated peptides, probably AOD, when you pair AOD with fasting, and then GHK copper for overall skin, hair, skin, and nails. Does HMB pills help? I mean, maybe a little. I don't find myself recommending HMB to patients that often, so I don't. But it could. Let me double check. I think HMB is leucine, right? Yeah. So it's supposed to act like leucine, but just take the leucine. I would just take leucine. But I would only take that. I wouldn't take that during my fasting windows because you don't want to spike insulin. And leucine or HMB is a insulinotropic amino acid product. It's meaning it's gonna spike insulin without food, by the way, which is crazy. What does MOTS-C really do? MOTS-C really activates the AMPK pathway. The AMPK pathway is the system that gets activated in a lower energy state. So AKA lots of exercise, fasting, just restricting calories. And you want that AMPK to be activated to lose weight. You can't lose weight without AMPK activation. AMPK activation causes a downstream set of things to happen throughout your physiology that all support fat loss. So you need AMPK pathway activation. And so SLOOP 332, MOTS-C act as exercise mimetics to upregulate the AMPK activation, essentially burn more calories, essentially lose more weight. It also upregulates the mitochondrial improvements So like mitochondrial biogenesis, mitochondrial cleanup, it activates mitophagy, which is kind of like autophagy, but for mitochondria. A lot of cool things happen with MOTS-c. What do I think about adding no comment, Essen. We don't work with patients to that capacity. I don't think you should be doing anything but just a healthy amount of testosterone. Can I talk to my regular doctor about peptides? Probably not. Regular doctors, primary care doctors just don't know a lot about this stuff, unfortunately. All right, guys. I got to prepare for my next meeting. But as a reminder, I go live every Monday, Wednesday at noon Mountain Standard Time. That's 11 Pacific and 2 Eastern. Make sure you follow me on YouTube. Go to YouTube, type in Dr. Jones DC. We put out a ton of phenomenal content where I just break it all down. Everything is there for you on YouTube. So go check us out. And if you want to work with me, if you want me to coach you, I have many different programs, and our doctors do prescribe all the peptides, all the GLP-1s, and so we like to put things together into packages, and we really emphasize the lifestyle components, as you hopefully have learned. And so shoot us a direct message here on the TikTok page if you're watching me on TikTok, or you can text that number, or you can click the link on the bio, okay? But other than that, I am out. You guys have a good day. Bye, everybody.